So Kendra Hall is a an expert on storytelling, if you will, and she gives, I guess, she's written some books and has done some keynotes and whatever. And she had this interesting story that she told. It's easy for us to, in the business world, to be so intent on giving the facts that we don't give the story. And the story is a great method. It's a great way to like make those facts stick. So she told this story in this very important keynote that she had. It was going to be like an audience of 15,000 people, and of course she's really working on this to get this thing dialed in and get this thing great. Initially they told her she'd have 45 minutes. Came back to her and, well, there's going to be announcements and stuff, so it's going to be like 30 minutes actually. This thing kept on getting whittled down until she only had 18 minutes to convey the information she wanted to convey, and she wanted to knock this one out of the park. So she chopped lots of slides out of her deck, and what she ended up with was basically just the facts, and there was basically no story there. And so she had to how ironic would that have been, right, if she'd given a presentation on storytelling but not actually used any storytelling. So she used about, over 18 minutes, she used about 6 minutes, I think, on the initial story, and maybe about, I may have this ratio off a little bit, but maybe like 8 minutes or so on the meat of the facts, the data, the things that they really needed to know about storytelling from more of a factual standpoint. And then she closed with maybe a 3-minute story or something like that. And that was however many years ago. And she said that people would still come up to her and talk about details in those stories or whatever from that presentation. And so it goes to show, I guess, that even though we may often shy away from stories because it takes too much time, perhaps the opposite should be, we should think of it the other way around, perhaps, of we must make sure we tell stories, and as we have time, we'll mix in some facts. And then it also is another idea that kind of, that sparks for me, is this idea of how much better is it to convey one or several points with great clarity and emphasis in a memorable manner that's entertaining and that sticks, right? How much better to provide one point that sticks than to provide 10 points that just kind of slide off of you like, water off a duck's back, and that's that. So anyway, so don't underestimate the power of storytelling. And just as an example of this power, probably right now, or in like maybe 2 minutes from now, you could probably recall the gist of the story that I told of that speaking engagement. But the point I just made about, except for the fact that I'm emphasizing it, but otherwise, the point I just made about doing one point really well versus a whole bunch kind of weakly, you probably would have totally forgotten that, because I didn't really tell a story with that. So anyway, consider telling stories.